All right, now to the UAW strike, and the union is ramping up the pressure with a new deadline of Friday.
So let's get you caught up on today's big headlines. First, Union President Shawn Fain responding to former president's plans to visit next week. In the meantime, 2 White House aides are no longer planning to come this week to help with negotiations, something President Biden said would happen the morning after the strike was called.
I wonder why.
Will Jones live at Ford's Michigan Assembly Plant in Wayne with more on, let's start with where the negotiations stand as far as we know it today. Will.
Well, Devin and Kimberly, still no major breakthroughs, but the conversations are ongoing. Take a look at the activity behind me at the Ford Michigan Assembly Plant. Union members are still demonstrating. If no progress is made, the UAW president is promising to inflict more pain on the automakers with this strike. Workers remain energized, picketing in front of the Ford Michigan Assembly Plant in Wayne.
I do wonder, right? I do wonder, because I am tied to this, man. Honestly, I've really been dialed in on this. I just haven't spoken about it because I've been waiting to get more results and see if anything is actually going to shake. But I do wonder why the White House and why the president has rescinded the people that he was going to send to speak on behalf of the government and on behalf of the White House and get in here and get into the trenches with these people. I do wonder why. It's rescinded that. Let's see what else they got.
One of 3 plants in the Midwest belonging to Detroit's big 3 automakers that the UAW is striking.
It's a struggle, but we're going to make it. We're going to go all the way.
These Ford retirees coming out to stand with the UAW.
I'm just so happy to be here. The union stood by me while we were working here, and I got to stand by my union.
The strike can move into a new phase Friday, which would be 1 week after it started. UAW President Shawn Fain promising to expand the strike if negotiations don't pick up with the automakers.
I believe and have faith in him. He knows what he's doing.
I don't think the threats of new plant closures or even actual plant closures are going to change the car companies' minds on the basic economics they need in order to switch to EVs and survive going forward.
Next week, former President Donald Trump is planning to deliver a speech to union workers in Detroit on the night of the second GOP debate. Fain responding in part about Trump's upcoming visit. Every fiber of our union is being poured into fighting the billionaire class and an economy that enriches people like Donald Trump at the expense of workers. UAW members tell me they've been overwhelmed by the amount of support they have received from the community, and they say that is making all the difference as this strike continues. We're live in Wayne. Will Jones, Local 4.
All right.
All right, now to the UAW.
So I am glued to this story, right? Like a little baby mouse stuck to a glue trap. Okay, this is so very interesting to me. And if you've been even just a little bit tapped in to what is going on with the Auto Workers Union, they have been active, very active in these streets. They say that they are tired of being overworked and underpaid and walking away from 40 to 50 years on the job with nothing to show for it, when these CEOs, company execs, and top leaders are living lavish lifestyles and retiring their families in the suburbs and off in the hills somewhere, while the average American does not have $1,000 in their bank account to cover a major expense. Now, a lot of that is largely upon our spending habits, but that's another topic for another time. Now, according to the General Motors CEO, right, the auto workers came with a list of over 1,000 different demands. Over 1,000 different demands. So some of the most notable actionable items that they wanted a shorter work week at 32 hours per week. Essentially, they want to be part-time is what that means. They want retirement benefits and pension plans reinstated. They want guaranteed job security so that when these companies start replacing their jobs with AI technology and outsourcing for cheaper labor, they will be assured that they will not be replaced, right? and they want a 40% increase in what it is that they make per hour. Those are just a few of the demands, right? And so the automaker companies heard what the UAW said and gave them a counteroffer. I believe the highest counteroffer they gave them was, listen, we'll give you a 20% raise, right? That was the highest that I heard. A 20% raise, which is substantial. I want y'all to understand. And what did the UAW do? They said, no, that's unacceptable. We want all the smoke. And they said, you gotta come better than that, right? And they said no and went back in the house, basically. Now, y'all do understand how negotiations work, right? Do we all have an understanding of how negotiations work? In a negotiation, there are terms that need to be agreed upon by both sides, because if it's not that way, then it's just a hostile takeover, right? Right? And before I share where I stand on this, let me ask my followers and all of you watching this a question. Let me ask you all, where do you stand on the UAW strike? Me personally, okay, I'm here for it. Pay these workers what you owe. Pay these workers what you owe. We got CEOs and coordinators making hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in bonuses and stock options. And your workers can barely keep up with the price of inflation. Something got to shake. Now, granted, workers do get incentivized through bonuses that are made within the company. We know that some of y'all had some of them large, substantial checks. And here's the part where I'm glued to the story like I am. Here's why I'm glued to the story like I am. Because the story of the automakers is not a one-off. It's not a one-off. I believe that just about every industry and organization outside of the health industry is experiencing this type of egregious treatment from the companies and businesses that they continue to work for and have worked for the past 30 to 40 to 50 years. You damn right I have a vested interest in this, because what this does is it gives every other group of employees a sense of bargaining power, right? When you see this type of thing happening, first it was with the truck drivers and the Teamsters union, and then it was with the postal workers, and now it's with the UAW. It does one of two things. One, if you have a union, it makes you start to put a fire up under their ass to work harder for you and achieve and get the things that you want, right? And then two, if you work for a company that does not have a union, it makes you look real long and hard about the benefits of advocating for one, which is what your job is afraid of. So all of that is from a worker standpoint, right? But now let's turn the tables, and I'm going to ask you all a question, but I only want you to answer. I only want you to answer if you can do so with an unbiased opinion. The best thing about being objective about a subject matter is the ability to look at a situation and operate from a mental capacity on both ends of the spectrum, or both ends of the pendulum. So let me ask you to put yourself in the driver's seat of an employer. And as an employer, okay, imagine that all of your employees come to you and say, not only do we want to work part-time, only 32 hours a week, but we also want a 40% increase in pay across the board. And we also want you to go back to financing our retirement. To hell with that 401k. We want pension plans reinstated. Raise your hand if you would hear this list of demands and simply say, okay. I think that this could go very badly, okay? If there is not a legitimate deal reached soon, and what I mean by that is that I think that these companies could start looking to alternative means to getting shit done, like outsourcing some of their work. And let me tell you that the EV revolution is coming. It's not a question. The EV revolution is coming. And personally, I'm not entirely sold on EV because there are a lot of unknowns as far as the power grid being mapped, as well as putting together a solid infrastructure that can handle having charging stations all over the damn country. But aside from that, you have the fact that electric vehicles weigh up to 30 to 40% more than gas powered vehicles. And what that means for our roads is that now roads are going to deteriorate and need to be maintained a lot more often than they already do, which means more tax dollars. Another concern, the tires on those electric vehicles. You're talking about several hundreds of more pounds of weight being placed on your wheels, which means your tire tread is absolutely going to be shredded. It's going to be worn down much faster. See, I know the world wants EV, and I know we are simply not ready. Yet the president and legislators have made it very clear that regardless, this is the direction that these companies are going to need to go in. They're even going so far as to say, listen, we're going to mandate the use of EV and a plan to ban all gas-powered vehicles by 2026 in some of these states. So what does that do? Well, it puts a lot of strain on these automaker companies to comply with the direction of the government and begin to steer their plants into a different direction, which will mean a drastic change in the manpower that they will actually need to process and deploy these EVs. And that is why the automakers are saying, hey, we see the writing on the wall. We know what's coming. And we want our jobs to be protected from the hundreds to thousands of layoffs that the EV revolution will bring. So they're advocating for themselves, and I'm not mad at that. You cannot be mad at that. They want to make sure that their jobs are secure. But let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right now. We are ever changing the economy, and these plant jobs where you could pass on the job and you could get your son or your daughter or your nephew or cousin in, and they could live out their lives and experience another 20 to 30 years on the job there, that is going away. That is going away. That is what is going to happen. Even if the demands are met and they come to an agreement and the negotiating terms are reached and everyone from both sides come together, even if that happens, the future of the automaker industry as it pertains to your family, your little ones, and the generations that will follow is going to be very different from what it is now. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Which is why I say, hey, go for the gusto, y'all. Y'all go ahead, go for the gusto. Y'all get whatever y'all can get right now, because I believe that things are going to get really, really, really dire and really, really crazy out here for the automakers over the course of the next decade. Over the course of the next decade to 20 years especially, I think it's going to get absolutely insane. And it's going to look nothing like it looks today. So, hey, listen, I'm here with y'all. Get y'all money, because what this does is it advocates for every other business and every other group of people that work for a company that feel like they are being underpaid and overworked. It advocates for them to have a leg to stand on, as we saw with the truck drivers and as we saw with the post office workers, right? The post office delivery drivers. It advocates for everyone else, right? The saying is, rising tide lifts all boats, right? Floats all boats. Well, that is the idea, that if they can go in here and negotiate terms and get what they need, or at least something close to what they are advocating for themselves, then what does that do for everyone else? It gives everyone else the type of empowerment to say, you know what? Look at what they did. They came together, they picketed the lines, they stopped production, and they said, hey, we're going to get this done or we ain't coming to work. Figure it out. And so what it does is, of course, it has a trickle-down effect. Now everybody else is looking like, could we possibly put something together like this to affect the business that we work for, to get the things that we need, in order to sustain. Now, granted, let me say this too. You automakers are making some of the best money, okay, without a degree. And I hear this too. Because you all are complaining about CEOs and complaining about all these top people in the company making all this money, right? And I understand that. I get it, right? Making 20 to 30 million dollars a year as a CEO is insane. It's nuts, okay? I do get it. However, we have to keep in mind here that a CEO, there are certain things that are required of a CEO that is not required of you. There's also a risk that comes along with being a CEO that you, as a common worker, do not have. You don't face the type of risk that a CEO does, which is why you're not going to get paid anywhere close to what they do. You got to have degrees. You got to have the financial knowledge. You got to have the industry knowledge. You got to have all sorts of things in place to become a CEO. You don't just get moved up the ladder and all of a sudden you appear as a CEO with no backing, right? With no with no education behind it. That's not going to happen. So they are at risk. They are at a risk that you all are not at. They are at a station where you all are not at because they are also taking on risks that you all are not taking on. They are. I'm sorry. Now, that being said, you automakers, some of you all are making great money. Some of you all are making $32 an hour. And you're asking for a 40% increase. With no degree. Come on now. Let's put it in perspective. Some of you are making twice the rate of minimum wage. Well over twice the rate of minimum wage. Well over. And you're advocating for a 40% raise on top of that. Okay? While you have other people that are barely making $20 an hour. There used to be a time where making $20 an hour, you thought that you could sustain life with $20 an hour. There used to be a time. That is no longer the case. So imagine all of the other people making less. And that's why I do say that, hey, if you guys get it, more power to you. I hope that everyone else looks at it. And if you all do come out on top, I hope everyone looks at this as an example of what can be accomplished if the people that work for these industries come together and say, you know what, we need to put our heads together, we need to put our foot down, and we need to step on the neck of these businesses and let them know that, listen, you make the money you do because we are an integral part of your business and of your success. Right. So, hey, good luck to all the auto workers out there. I will continue to cover the story. I will continue to watch this story because I think something will end up happening over the course of the next couple of weeks. I just don't know what it is, but I think what we're advocating for, I think they're going to come down, which is what happens in a negotiation, right? You bring everything to the table and then you negotiate terms and you kind of meet at a middle ground. So I do think that they will get a lot of things, some of the things that they asked for, but I'm going to tell you right now, pensions ain't coming back, y'all. Pensions are not coming back. I'm sorry, but they're not. They hit something when they created the 401k. They was like, hey, we found something here. We got all these people to fund their own retirement plans. Oh, that's golden. If you're a businessman, that's golden. The 401k was a golden egg delivered to your doorstep if you were owner of a business. Because it immediately absolved you of having to finance the retirement and the lives of your workers after they have stopped working at your company. So the pension is not coming back. That's one of the things that I'm flat out saying y'all are not going to get. They're not reinstating your pensions. I don't believe it. If it happens, then it'll be an amazing accomplishment to come from this negotiation. But I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. The 401k has completely obliterated the pension plan, and more pensions are being phased out around the company. It's not going the other way. It's not more coming back. It's more being phased out. But anyway, I'm gonna stay tuned to this. Y'all drop a message in the comments and let me know what you think about this UAW strike. And I'll catch you all in the next video.